Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I have said many times that the SNP always, when a decision has to be made, make the wrong decision. It is without fail what they do. They have never made the right decision. And up and coming is an opportunity for them to once again make the worst possible decision, to go the wrong way. And I suspect they probably will. They're having still to look at the sanctions against Fergus Ewing. Fergus Ewing, of course, voted against Lorna Slater at her vote of confidence. He was the only member of the SNP to do so. He voted against it. He said no, he has no confidence in her. And now they're looking to punish him. And one of the options is to remove the whip. Should they do that, and I think they probably will, because that would be the worst decision they could do, and so obviously they're going to do that. If they remove the whip from Fergus Ewing, they are going to have a major problem on their hands. Firstly, since that vote of confidence, it has now been revealed that every single SNP backbencher is against the Greens being in government, is against the Butte House Agreement, and that they don't want Lorna Slater there. And a lot of people have now started backing Fergus Ewing in his approach. And secondly, the optics would look awful. This is a man who's recently lost his mother, Winnie, one of the single most respected parliamentarians and politicians that the SNP have ever had. And now they're going to remove the whip from her son, who I will say, and not a supporter, as you know, of the SNP, but as someone who has got a lot of time for Fergus Ewing, who likes Fergus Ewing, the man. And many people on all sides of the political spectrum do. And if they remove the whip, it will be seen as an absolute travesty. And I think that will open up a major rift within the party. So, of course, with their usual tactics of getting everything wrong, I suspect that's exactly what the SNP are about to do. We'll have a look at this story to see what's happening. But I think now is the time. If they remove that whip now, this Congress, this upcoming party Congress, is likely to be Humza Yousaf's last as leader. Here goes. Now, of course, this just looks like an act of absolutely childishly petty spitefulness on the part of Humza Yousaf. The correct procedure, of course, would have just simply at the time of the vote to say, well, you know, that's Fergus. It's typical of him. He's his own mind. You know, it was a vote. He voted against it. He was obviously in the minority. He's the only one who voted like that. It makes no odds. You know, we've shown that we support Lorna. We move on. You know, that's it. You know, and then just made a joke of it. You know, that's Fergus. You know, you don't expect anything less of him. Lovely guy, but this time he got it wrong. You know, and whatever. And then you move on. And that, of course, would have been an end to the matter. But in order to try and impose his leadership and ability, you know, leadership and authority, of which of course he has none at all, but he has to try his best, bless him. Humza Yousaf is trying to do this by imposing some kind of punishment, and it's going to backfire massively. It's going to be a massive backfire. But then you don't expect anything less from a man who has absolutely zero political nous. Instead of just letting the matter drop and moving on, he's highlighting the divisions. He's an idiot. Anyway, read this. Fergus Ewing voting to sack Lorna Slater could cost him SNP whip, confirms Humza Yousaf in an act of sheer stupidity. The First Minister confirmed that the SNP rebel may still face sanctions after voting to sack the Scottish Greens co-leader, which is said to upset members of his party. No, not many. Only the few that are desperately tied themselves to the green mask, like Humza Yousaf himself. The backbenchers certainly weren't upset. Fergus Ewing's decision to vote to sack Lorna Slater could lead him to losing the SNP whip And the First Minister revealed that disciplinary proceedings against the rebel Nat MSP were still ongoing after being paused following the death of his mother Winnie. The former Rural Affairs Cabinet Secretary has become a thorn in the side of his party for repeatedly speaking out against the controversial Scottish Government policies and also attacking the Butte House Agreement. This accommodated him in voting with opposition parties in a vote of no confidence against the Scottish Greens Minister over her shambolic handling of the deposit return scheme, and I will say over her shambolic handling of every single aspect of everything she has done. Now, he didn't vote against the SNP. He has not voted against his own party. He's voted against a different party, and I think that should have been enough for Humza Yousaf to just sort of write it off. Now, had he voted against his own party, slightly different rules apply, of course. You shouldn't vote against. At worst, you should abstain or make yourself unavailable on the day to vote. Often a tried tactic. But he didn't vote against his own party. He voted against the Greens. Mr. Yousaf said that Mr. Ewing's behaviour was serious and that the SNP's Holyrood group, I think, would meet to discuss his future in the first few weeks of the new term. And this could lead to the veteran MSP losing the whip. I don't think he'd be overly bothered. He is not a supporter of Humza Yousaf, and I think losing the whip would give him the freedom then to speak his mind openly against Humza Yousaf in full, and then just bide his time until old Forbesy takes over, and then she'll invite him back into the fold and give him a senior position within it. He accused the Greens of being hard left extremists and wine bar revolutionaries. He's also repeatedly called for the Butte House Agreement to be axed amid concerns it's losing his party votes. It is so unpopular within the Holyrood group, certainly within the Westminster group. Stephen Flynn says that he doesn't see eye to eye on them on a lot of issues. And you know that he's a creeping, crawling up, your backside kind of guy. And if even Beryl is saying that it's not good, it's not good within the party. And of course, down with the members, they're seeing the damage that these people are causing. And of course it is, because you look at all the things that they've failed at. Every single policy. Fail after fail after fail. He also famously ripped up a Scottish Government plan on the highly protected marine areas in the Chamber and voted with the opposition on this, as well as against the deposit return scheme, which goes to show that he has got political nous. He is aware of what people are thinking. And it was his decision to side with the Tories over Miss Slater, which could prove to be the final straw for party bosses. They don't have the balls, I think. And if they did, they would use it and make the biggest mistake they've made so far. The Scottish Conservative proposed to vote with no confidence in the Scottish Greens Minister after the spectacular collapse of the DRS, and it failed by 68 votes to 55 after the SNP and their coalition partners whipped MSPs to save her job. See, it would only have taken 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 people, and it would have gone the other way, and that would have been enough, and she would have gone, and with it, of course, the Butte House Agreement, and that would have been even better. Mr. Ewing was expected to be sanctioned by his party, but the death of his mother Winnie is said to have paused any actions. But now Mr. Yousaf has confirmed that this could still happen in the coming weeks. He told the Daily Record it was a very serious matter indeed. It really isn't. And there was, I think, understandable reasons why the group chose not to deal with the internal party discipline matters at the end of the parliamentary term, but clearly the group may want to pick those matters up when they return to show who's boss. Well, to be honest, it's not really them, is it? Now, if they do go ahead and sanction Fergus Ewing, it will be seen as a split in the party again. But he has his supporters, and they will rally to his side. And the likes of Kate Forbes may take that as a clarion call. And this may be the straw, not that breaks Fergus Ewing's back, but breaks the back of the party in terms of looking at Humza Yousaf. This may be Humza Yousaf's biggest mistake, and it may be the one that finally leads to his eventual downfall. And I think that this is entirely possible. It is a bad move. It has got bad optics, and it is something that a lot of the party do not want to see. Anyway, What was it? He said, yeah, this was Yousaf continuing. He said, there's not been a resolution to that issue, he said. Voting against government minister on a vote of confidence and voting with the Conservatives in that regard is a serious matter. He might have voted against the government minister, as I said, but he did not vote against his own party. That's the important thing. So the group will meet to discuss that, and it's an internal matter which I don't intend to comment on anymore. Mr Ewing has also been involved in a very public war of words with the other Scottish Greens co-leader Patrick Harvey, the leprechaun. As they criticised each other, the SNP MSP labelled his fellow Skexiteer an extremist, and he is, and he's a horrible little extremist, pro-IRA, pro-destruction of all industry, and filled with just hate for everything and everyone. Mr Harvey suggested that he, Fergus, was not bright or articulate, and he represents a generation that simply hasn't moved on and come to terms with the reality of what the climate emergency requires of us all collectively. It's not an emergency. We know that. They're still flying private jets. And they're still all driving cars and limousines everywhere. Not exactly an emergency. If it was an emergency, Fergus would be on his bicycle, riding to the end of his little rainbow to find his crock of shit. Anyway, I shall finish there. I shall come up, which will round off the video. Why am I sounding like Winston Churchill? Who knows? Coming up. So, I think it could be their biggest mistake yet. I think if he does go ahead, if he removes that whip, it will probably be the end of Humza Yousaf. So let's hope he does remove the whip. I would love to see this one go through. I'd love to see the fallout, because this is effectively, if you're removing the whip from Fergus Ewing of all people, you have truly gone nuclear in your attack on the centrist ground of the party. And that goes to show what a complete lack of political nous Humza Yousaf truly has. So yeah, I do hope he does. I do want to see this. Not that I've got anything against Fergus Ewing, but I think this will be the making of the final end of the party. It could lead even to a rift so large that it could even split the party. That's how big it is. Fergus Ewing is so well respected. And he deserves better really than a leader like that. I say the word leader, not a leader. He deserves better of the likes of Humza Yousaf. And so yeah, it's going to be great. We will follow this story over the next few weeks. We'll follow the story and we'll see where it goes. But I do think that there will be such a massive fallout from this that it'll be the most entertaining show in town for quite some time to come. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope this video has earned a subscribe push, and you go on and push the subscription button, especially if you're one of our regular long-term, many often watching viewers who hasn't yet subscribed. Now's the time. Hit the button, let the channel grow, and we'll keep bringing you more about stuff like this, because it is going to be an absolute shit show when it does hit the fan. And keep an eye out for the next video, because if you want more shit show, we all know that being the leader of the party gives you a terrible memory problem. We've seen how it affects Nicola Sturgeon's, but it seems to be affecting Humza Yousaf's Humza Yousaf's memory. But you'll see that in the next video. Anyway, until then, thank you very much. Goodbye, and I will enjoy doing these, and so all you people enjoy watching them. Thank you so much for your support. Bye.